We don't need this road anyway, because all it's doing is bringing more cars in to jam the city. But what they're making Wanstead into is a giant traffic jam and car park. It shouldn't be that. It's a lovely area, really. So all the people living around here, asthma, bronchial problems, are just going to increase 100-fold. And they've got doctors on the television telling them this every week, and they're still doing it. So I don't know what they've got for brains.
She's been told she wasn't to come over here. She was warned and now she's then come back. Right, I've explained it to yourself.
Why have I been arrested for disorderly conduct?
Alright, we told you not to come over
What's that got to do with Section 5 of the Public Order Act? What exactly have I done wrong?
This isn't a charismatic campaign like Twyford Down or Oxley's Wood, and yet they've continued fighting for years and years and years and years, and they've tried every opportunity, every route. They've gone to the High Court, to the European Commission. They've really fought this, and I just think they're such brave people. I've always had such admiration for the M11 people.
Land for the people, not for the roads! Land for the people, not for the roads!
You're all trespassing. I will now get my men to escort you off these premises.
You have to defy the law where it's wrong.
We're peaceful people!
I'm not offering any resistance.
The Department of Transport is totally illegal and a rule unto their own. That's my old taking on the way. I'm trespassing. They're knocking our homes down and I'm trespassing.
If I want to be represented, I go to my ward councillors, where they're all for the road. I can then go to my MP, where he's a Tory whip, and he certainly wants the road, even though he lives in Chelsea. So then I can go to the Ombudsman, and he will say, yeah, but it's all been decided through 3 public inquiries by the Secretary of State for Transport. But the Secretary of State for Transport devised the plan, and he judged it. So at the end of the day, we're being controlled by this process. And during all this time, the information is coming in thick and fast to suggest that they are blinkered and they are living in the past and carrying out an antiquated scheme.
When you start to kind of see the sorrow that the road's causing and the frustration and the anger, and you just start to see how completely ignored and brushed aside these people are by a very small group of men who are completely abusing their power, who sit in Parliament or are civil servants or are engineers who have cosy relationships with government officials, then you have no choice. You have to act, you have to do something, you have to drop whatever it is you're doing and get involved.
If you do direct action against the contractors and the security guards, effectively you're delaying them, and delay means costs. Sometimes they have contractual obligations to meet, and every time they are delayed, you're adding the pounds onto their contract.
To put yourself on the line, lying down in front of a bulldozer, chaining your neck to a bulldozer, risking your life, it's the truest form of expression. If you sincerely believe that something is wrong, then the people here are amazing. They're so brave, putting themselves on the line again and again and again. What we hope to do is inspire people to say, you can try the legal system, by all means try it, but it will always fail you. If it fails you, it's still wrong. If it was wrong at the beginning, it's going to be wrong at the end. If it's wrong, it's wrong, it's wrong. Carry through, everything that you believe in. And people have been really inspired by what we've done at Twyford Down and at the M11. And the most surprising people all around the country are saying, yes, I'm going to lie down in front of the bulldozers too. It is an honourable tradition in this country.
Your actions are blocking this road. You're causing obstruction to the highway because of your activities. Will you please move? Or else I shall move you.
My apologies, I shall...
Don't be rough now. Hey, don't be rough. Excuse me, don't be rough like that, okay? All right. Come on back, come on. That was out of order. That was out of order.
You have to stand here.
Can I have your name?
I didn't hurl her to
You
the
hit
ground.
her on my fucking leg. I'm reporting.
That's all right, you can report me, sir.
I'm also going to receive proceedings.
You are going above and beyond your duties.
You are meant to
You're not a good example.
not you through her.
I have an absolute deep commitment to non-violence. You cannot fight violence with violence. What we are against is violence towards the planet. I see environmental destruction as the ultimate form of violence against the planet and against human rights all around the world. If you're opposed to it, you certainly don't fight using the same methods. We have won the arguments. We are right. I sincerely believe that. And we do not need to use violence. We must always retain the higher moral ground.
Don't worry about the videoing, yeah, we just do it so that when the police come and say you lot are being absolute bastards and being violent, we can say, well actually, you know, we're not being violent.
We'll just stand around that with fine.
Hi there. You alright?
I'm fine.
What's going on? What's up?
Stopping the surveying, basically.
Stopping the surveying.
Or standing on a public footpath, whichever way you want to describe it.
You know about the new legislation that's been passed stopping men carrying out the lawfully abetted work?
Sorry?
You know it's against the law to stop people carrying out the normal work and practice.
Not against the law to stand on a footpath, though.
No, it's not, but you're obstructing, aren't you?
Am I? He can work. I'm not. If he wants to work around me, he can work around me. I'm just walking on a footpath. I'm standing on a footpath. I'm perfectly entitled to do that.
Legislation. It's yet to be proved in court. I mean, yeah, I agree. It's not. We will cause a breach of the peace by standing here, and you will get arrested for breach of the peace.
What if I was waiting for a
This
coach
is
or something?
The last warning.
This is not
Really?
This is the last.
It's just a peaceful approach.
They want to go about their work peacefully, and you are preventing them. That will
but
cause
we're
a breach
peaceful
of
as
the
well.
peace. It has been held up that to prevent a workman by going about his business, his lawful work. I will find the case for you and I will show you a copy
Can you go
of
and bring it?
Before I do that, I'd like you to move out of the way, please.
We're not obstructing anybody. We're on a public highway.
And he says
And we have every right to be on a public
He gives him
highway.
a chance to have a cigarette.
It's very difficult for them to improve their condition legally. They have, as you say, weighted against them really all the arms of the state. They have the police, the Crown Prosecution Service, the courts, the Department of Transport, the contractors, Westhoffs, security, private security firms. Those organisations have power, have money, have rights, have access to the media, and against them, it's difficult to fight against them when you have none of the resources available.
Come here for a second. Do you feel like you're going to be violent towards me for standing on
It
this
doesn't have to be
footpath?
violent. It doesn't have to be violent. No, it does not have to be violent.
What does he have to do
He
then?
does not have to have any violence towards you.
So what's he going to
A
do
breach
then?
of the peace can be occurred without violence.
No, it can't. That's
Yes,
not
it
true.
can.
R.V. Howell has to have violence.
Would you keep out of the way so that they can get on with their
The
work?
case R.V. Howell states that there has to be violence
Well,
involved.
it doesn't have to
involved.
They intend to keep this a bottleneck forever because they cannot control the traffic into and out of London now. If the traffic increases by 142% by 2025, then they will never be able to cope with it. So they really have no long-term strategy.
The Link Road runs alongside Cambridge Park, under Blakehall Road, goes under the new Green Man interchange, crosses the central line, and then runs alongside the central line through Leytonstone and Leyton.
People are coming round in the morning with sledgehammers. So I'm told, it's like official. I haven't had any correspondence with them. The only thing I can do to remain in my own home is to barricade my own home up, which you can see. Move all your stuff over in the corners and barricade it up. Destroy your own house against people who say they're coming here and going to take me out of my house and I don't even know who they are. This is a handcuff. This is what you have to do to try and stay in your house when they're coming in here to take you out. One of us puts a hand in this side, one in the other side, click a small handcuff in the middle so as our hands are joined. That's the only way as a last resort that we can stay in here.
I know several people along the route, long-term residents, very, very well. Richard Leyton, who's lived here all his life with his mother, who's lived here all her life. She's 80 years old. She lived in this house all her life. And they want to bulldoze her out of it. She won't survive the move. And he's absolutely devastated.
Put on the kettle! Tell all your friends. Shouldn't let them in unless they've got a broom.
This is just sheer
vandalism.
This house has been like this for 2.5 years.
Shit.
2.5 years. They could have had someone living here for 2.5 years. One of the things that they say is that these houses aren't fit for human habitation, and that's not true. All the damage that's been done to these houses has been done by the Ministry of Transport. When they get in, the first thing they do is, when they get the people evicted, one of the first things they do is they come in and they cut joists and trash floorboards and just basically try to make the houses unappealing and as horrible as they can make it. And that's vandalism. I inhabit one of those houses. There's a letter explaining that the properties have been legally squatted. Any agents working on behalf of the MOT or any of the subcontractors or anybody employed by any of their subcontractors will not be gained admission. The police have been here. Those houses are legally occupied. I'm asking you to leave. There's no reason for you to be here. If you refuse to leave, I will ring the police and ask them to come down and ask you to leave, because in my opinion, being here is behaviour likely to incite a breach of the peace.
Look, it's the man with no court order again.
Should we try going
Where's his court order? Where's his court order? Where's his court order?
Officer, where's his court order?
Where does he live?
We've got
It's reasonable time for the lawyer to get here, give the order from the court, say that the place is reserved.
Who pays your wages?
There's a bloke here with a whole load of possessions just in the corridor and he needs to get them out. Can you please open the door and let him take his stuff out?
That's all we're asking.
We're not going to come in now, are we? You've done your business. Let the guy have his stuff, for God's sake.
Nothing to do with the department.
Listen, we're trying to, that is what we're trying to negotiate.
That's what I'm sitting here for.
Right. Yeah, we need to get this stuff out.
Sorry, mate.
We need to get this stuff out. This guy's got...
I want to go out. I'll go out.
Yeah, try and get in your way. Why don't you get out?
That's all right. Okay, that's all I want to do is get out. Thank you.
Right, the premises have been taken over by the DOT.
Yeah, can we see some paperwork?
We'd have to ask the DOT for it.
Well, so you just accept it because the DOT say they own a building, they can have it.
Look, you've asked me a question and I've given you an answer. If you don't like the answer, that's your problem, alright?
Is it my problem?
It's the DOT.
Well, it's JL16's problem. He's acting on something that he doesn't know is true. But you're allowing someone to board up a house and you don't even know if they're the owners. So if I kicked in the front door now and said, it's all right, I work for the DOT, it'd be all right. Because you say, oh, that's a civil matter, don't bother me, mate. I'm asking you a question. Well, are you? I'm asking. Just because DOT say they own it, you've just accepted it, have you? Where's the proof? Where's the paperwork? Because that's what this world really needs, is lots of paperwork, isn't it?
This house has been reoccupied. Do you appreciate that?
Sorry?
This house has been reoccupied, so whatever they're doing in there, they're doing illegally. And you're just going to stand there and let them do it?
This house has been repossessed by the Department of
From
Transport.
one group of people. Another group of people went in this morning. Why weren't your chaps actually arresting the security guard who threatened the woman next door this morning? And who threatened another of these chaps with a hammer?
If that person would like to direct any complaint to Leyton Police Station...
They've already done it and nothing's been done. That's why I'm going to court this afternoon, in about 5 minutes, which also looks like I'm going to have to go to court on this, which is ludicrous.
Absolutely ludicrous.
You're hitting your head all the time against a brick wall, but don't let that put you off, because that's what they try and do. They put you off with promises and pretty pictures and half-truths or lies, and you've got to be prepared for that. And also be aware of what's going on elsewhere so that hopefully you can draw in other people. I mean, I think that's very important to get cross-references of groups everywhere, because throughout the South now this is happening. And if everybody from all those groups sort of marched on Parliament, it would have a tremendous effect, wouldn't it?
The problem is going to get worse. Protests is going to get bigger. The car culture is growing constantly. Protests coming together all throughout Europe. This is just the first stage.
Around the tree, we built the tree house and we had the fire at the bottom, and a group of us gathered there most evenings and played music and kind of just talked, and it was a kind of, and it really drew people in from all around the kind of area. We all kind of got together, and people from the local area actually started talking to people, you know, next door neighbours who hadn't spoken to each other for years and years, started communicating again, and it kind of became a kind of focal point for a community.
Soon we'll all be dead on the never-ending road. My lungs are clogged, I cannot breathe. Perhaps I'll call the RAC. Perhaps I'll call.
We built the tree house, and the people living in the tree, but Norwest Hall surrounded the green and the tree house with an 8-foot fence, and wouldn't allow anyone into the tree house. We suddenly realised the nature of what they were doing. They were taking away something that really belonged to everyone, and it was kind of quite a really powerful kind of moment of realisation. And everyone looked at these fences and just thought, God, they've just got to go. And so we just suddenly had, very spontaneously, 150 people started pushing down these fences, which was no mean task. I mean, these were 8-foot fences dug about 3 feet into the ground. It wasn't a kind of a group of angry anarchists. It was just an alliance of environmentalists and a huge majority of local people. And there was this woman, she must have been about 70. She was just going pushing this fence, and it was brilliant, because the day before I'd seen her in the health food shop and she'd been crying because she'd seen the fence around the tree, and this was her moment where she could kind of vent her frustration and actually claim back what was obviously hers. And so that was the turning point, because I think that was the point at which any kind of division between people from the outside and local people, just suddenly dissolved. Everyone knew that they were really fighting for exactly the same thing, and a really strong bond developed between everyone that was there on that day, even though many of us had never met each other or known each other before.
I think it's a shame that these people have got to go to all this to get their little say about that horrible road that's coming here. And they're taking all these beautiful trees away. And that tree over there is 400 years old. And they couldn't care less. A little bit extra. I'm annoyed to think that I got suspended for what, you know, I believe in. I believe in the environment and doing something about the environment. And to my mind, that was me expressing myself, going down to the tree and dressing it. And I went in my uniform because I represent the children, and really I represent the roads as well because I work on the roads every day, and seeing the traffic and seeing one person in a car, it seems so ridiculous to me why they can't sort something out with the transport.
Today we made case history. The first time ever that a tree has been qualified or classified by the law and by a High Court judge as a dwelling. It was the guy who wrote, I don't know if you've seen the letter, from Cheshire. This guy wrote a letter to the people in the tree, and they've even got a letterbox in the tree. Right? In a door, front door on the tree, proved it was a dwelling, right? That proved our case that it was a dwelling, it wasn't a joke. This is now classed as a dwelling. You've already been given a number of copies. Do you want another one? Yeah, your men refused to hold it earlier. All your men have been served. Okay? Granted last night at 6 o'clock by High Court Judge Tuckey. Right. Well, what I would suggest is your men leave and stay in their compound.
Okay, well, we're going downtown to have a look around the shops so I can get some money out the bank. Okay, see
All
you
right.
later, Jack.
Well, you have a good morning.
This
Take care.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
We've got you provisionally marked, if you'd be happy, as being a branch on the phone tree. Is that okay?
So we have ready to come and help us something like 200 people, mostly local people. It works on the basis that you phone 3 people, they phone another 3. It just cuts your workload down, and you can do it very quickly. And they're prepared to come out at any hour of the day or night to come and defend the place.
Do is ring 3 numbers. Are you happy to do that? If I give you 3 numbers. Brilliant, that's very good of you.
What are you going to do today?
Well, we're going to stop them talking through them.
How are you going to do it?
Well, 4 of us are chained together around the tree using these steel tubes that you can see here, and we're locked together inside the tube, so they can't move us unless they hacksaw through the tube, which is going to take them some hours.
The question was, what do you do if you get nicked, basically? Do you give your name and address? The answer is yes, but nothing more. The words no comment are all I want to hear from anybody's mouth.
The gripe I've got is that there were 250 police on that green, each with the power of arrest, and they stood there and watched the sheriff's bailiffs punch, kick, hit the protesters, who offered no violent resistance at all. And why? The United Nations Bill of Human Rights, Article 7 says everybody has a right to protection by the law, and the police did not protect the protesters, so they were failing their duty.
We have to be here because we care about what is happening to our
I think one of the most poignant things is the way the police support anything the security guards do, but completely ignore anything we do. For example, if a security guard arrests me, at any point they can arrest me and just say that I've done something, criminal damage for example. The police will instantly put me in a police van, take me off, lock me up for the night, process me, and then I'll be out and I'll go to the magistrate's court and almost definitely be found guilty on the saying of the security guards. Now, if I was to citizen's arrest a security guard and I even had evidence at hand and I've done it, the police just ignore you and say write a complaint, and so that shows the kind of the relationship. It's a very, very uneven one.
Don't do it, officers! Don't do it! Support us! We'll support you if they try to privatise you!
And I say very, very firmly that the police are acting politically here. They are not acting impartially. They are not acting in an even-handed way. They are acting in a political way to bulldoze through government policy. That is not their job. And it really distresses me to see in a so-called democracy the police acting in such an openly political way as this and abusing people's rights. You know, it's because you're a protester doesn't mean that you don't have any rights, that you're a criminal.
He was only having a
We bloody live here. We gotta have the bloody road, you don't. Why don't you piss off where you bloody came from?
Your children will see it, and they'll leave you. You'll be there in your old age with your empty eyes.
A tree, storms, wars, bombs. 300 years, the tree still stands. A road, a crane, a matter of hours. The tree stands no more. The tree has fallen, humiliated, rotting, eventually forgotten. Cars, noise, pollution, yet another step towards extinction. What's it matter anyway? What's a tree compared to millions of pounds? It's done with now, nothing to worry about. It's all over until the next time a tree gets in the way of progress. All that is left is a single question. At which tree do we stop?
I'm actually going to court this afternoon, not to face my first eviction. Basically, I was asked on the 30th of December to leave this property, or at least my brother was, because he is actually the leaseholder. I left rather reluctantly because I thought that would suit his convenience, but I was very happy to say that after we'd actually left the house, some very kind squatters moved in from the No M11 Link Road campaign. And I thought to myself, they seem a nice bunch, so I moved back in with them. So I think that this house represents quite a lot, because up in a little office I used to type away letters, which was almost the birth of Wanstead against the M11 Link Road. And it's got a lot of fond memories right from the early days when I didn't know anything about it. And I watched houses all the way along the street being compulsory purchased and knocked down over 15 years. And I was too busy travelling that terrible tube up to London, backwards and forwards, to even notice what was going on in my locality.
I'm a student, I've come up from Brighton. There was just like, you know, one of the other students told us about what was happening down here tonight. So we took a couple of cars up. We've been having like a lot of like trouble like being students with student grants and stuff, and like, you know, we just want to help out anyone that's like fighting back, you know.
A lot of hard work's gone into this, into barricading this room over the past week and a half. This wall here has been barricaded and the cavity filled with concrete, and the same with that wall there. And the windows have been filled with concrete, and the ceiling has been heavily barricaded, and rafters have been put in place to secure all the barricades.
Yeah, the memories of the house, I mean, 13 years is a long time. If you look at it, it's quite a grand house, but they'll be coming in the morning. All we can do is what we're doing. We'll fight them all the way.
Peaceful protest! We think you're all really nice people!
Hi Mum, it's Becca. Hiya, have you heard all the news? Oh, it's happening. It's happening in a really, really big way. There's 800 police here. It's happening in a really, really big way. If you switch on the news and switch on the radio, and you'll be able to hear it.
Swing down on one of these rafts. What do you do with that perch? On the road.
Come on, get the bag. Get the bag.
All right, come on, chaps.
Well, careful.
Yeah, watch yourself, man. Watch yourself. Right, come on.
One bailiff and 50 road officers. Thank you very much.
Good boy.
Really quick.
Come again tomorrow. Yeah, we'll get through there. Excuse me.
That's probably easier there. Just watch the floor, it's a bit dodgy. Just stand on the girders, mate.
Don't let him through there, he'll just start taking the stuff off.
Oh, sure.
Oh, well, never mind.
Well, we'll negotiate for you. How about that? We're good negotiators. Okay, cool. Bailiffs don't get overtime. Yeah.
Apparently 12-15 people on the roof of this house. They're still there.
We're running around and having a good time.
Yeah, we keep thinking it's the bailiff.
Yeah. We keep thinking, this is it, they're coming in, man. Yeah, but they're not.
There's a lot of people on the roofs number 10 and number 12, and they've got two cherry pickers working on taking them off, but it's a very, very slow business. like really, really hectic. I mean, basically they're like clearing the houses out of all the people who aren't locked onto things. There's about 8 people in one house locked on and about 4 in another house, and then there's 2 of us in this house.
For criminal damage, willful harm. Don't do that, you're going to die.
Drop your bag!
Hey, stop it, you mad!
Look there! Please be careful! There's a woman locked on the tube!
Then ask you to release yourselves. If not, I'm afraid we'll have to use force.
To what?
Like pulling your arm out until you release yourself.
That window's concreted.
Yeah.
These are handcuffs and they're clipped shut.
Yeah, the gentleman outside had handcuffs on, but he could release them himself. So I'm asking you, do you want to release it yourself, or do you want to suffer pain until you release it yourself? Because we can use a necessary amount of force.
What do you mean it's painful force?
It will be painful. It won't be painful for me.
I'm sure it won't.
Do you enjoy doing it?
I don't enjoy it at all. That's why I'm giving you. If I enjoyed it, I'd just yank your arms out, wouldn't I? I'm giving you the option.
I work for an independent film company.
Yeah, that's all right.
I just want to film so that I can show what actually happens in here.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I'm now asking you to leave. By being in such a confined space, you'll be hindering our duty. So I'm going to ask you.
Because minimal force means that they can give us pain. You said so.
You've got enough. I'm asking you to leave now, please.
Take this out anyway.
Mother, I feel you under my feet. Mother, I hear your heartbeat. Hey, 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 oh. Hey, 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 oh. Mother, I feel you under my feet. Mother, I hear your heartbeat. Hey, 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 hey.
This road scheme should go under review now. They should cut their losses while they can.
You know, the 350 houses they're bulldozing at the moment are still there. We can still regenerate the area in Leytonstone, and we can restore the green back. It'll never be the same, but to Wanstead. And I think that's the driving force for me. I won't say I'll let them get away with this one. It's more reason that this one shouldn't go through, because they are starting to acknowledge that it's wrong. And if the government were actually to say, or the Department of Transport were to say, sorry, we made a mistake, I mean, they would receive so much credibility.
This doesn't just affect Wanstead. This isn't just East London. This isn't just England. It's a whole global issue, and people have got to get rid of this ridiculous idea of, you know, this is my little patch, bugger off.
What's up, mate?
Christ almighty, I can get up the wall easier than most people can without crutches.
She is like a mountain, old and strong. She goes on and on and on. You can't kill the spirit. She is like a mountain, old and strong. She goes on and on. like a mountain.